Senator McConnell and his chamber returned to Capitol Hill Tuesday to a ticking clock, counting down to a potential government shutdown. Funding for the U.S. government expires at the end of September. If Congress does not pass a new package through both chambers by then, we could see the first shutdown in nearly 5 years. The House will not reconvene until next Tuesday, meaning the full Congress has just 11 scheduled meeting days to avoid that. Jeff Stein joins me now. He is the White House economics reporter for The Washington Post. Jeff, it's good to be with you again, which seems to happen whenever we get to these crisis moments. So we're grateful you're here, but maybe not for the reason you are. But can you break down, before we get to the immediate cut and thrust over the government funding, can you break down the current deficit situation that lawmakers are grappling with, given that government spending exceeds its revenue?
Yeah, it's a very unusual set of circumstances we're looking at. Typically, when we have economic expansions like the kind we're living through right now, the economy growing very fast, unemployment is still very low, that's normally a period where you see the federal deficit, the gap between what we bring in and what we spend, come down because businesses are spending, so there's more tax revenue. People don't need payments from the federal government as much. They're not on government assistance, so you see a deficit contraction. But now we're seeing, despite the economic growth, the deficit shoot up from $1 to $2 trillion. And it's really, I think it caught a lot of people off guard. Economists are still trying to figure out if that's really the product of one-time functions or sort of a deeper systemic change in something that we don't quite understand about tax receipts. But it suggests that we're in for much bigger deficits than we expected. And there's a big debate about how bad is this? We had lots of warnings, I think it's fair to say, hyperventilation under Obama that larger deficits would mean fiscal doom, fiscal crisis, and those never materialized. But maybe this time is different.
So that's the backdrop for the fiscal backdrop for this current debate. So what is the current debate? What's the bare minimum that Congress needs to do to get to keep a government shutdown from happening on the 30th of September?
Yeah, this will be interesting to a handful of budget geeks and hopefully including you, John. But essentially, they are looking at passing what's called a continuing resolution, which is just keeping the government at a flat level. What's different about this time is normally Republicans are very excited by that because they say, look, we didn't increase the government spending with inflation. But you remember at the end of June or in June, I guess, we signed a debt ceiling agreement, which between McCarthy and Biden that specified that the government spending levels would decrease to avoid the debt ceiling crisis, that could have set off an economic catastrophe in the summer. And so we're in this unusual situation now where a motion to keep the government funded at the current levels would actually be a win for keeping the government funded at higher levels, which is this kind of counterintuitive thing we're in now. But that's kind of the standoff right now. Will we see a sort of temporary extension of government funding at the current levels, or is there some other agreement? And we can get into sort of some of the complications there.
Well, let's get into those complications, which seem to be the most complications, and correct me if I'm wrong, seem to be with the Speaker, Speaker McCarthy, who once again is in a position where he has to make a deal with people on the other side of the aisle who are not going to agree to what a lot of Republicans want. But then he's got to his right a members of his conference who want something much more stringent than McCarthy could ever get the votes for. So is he the one in the toughest fix right now?
I think that's right. I mean, right now there's this big question of, sort of you look at the human impact of this debate. One of the real pivotal questions is what's going to happen with tens of billions of dollars in emergency aid for the victims of the disaster in Hawaii and the hurricane in Florida. And can the Biden administration fulfill its request to get that funding attached to this government funding to make sure that it passes together? And McCarthy might have a real difficult time persuading the conservatives, who are already going crazy at the idea that there won't be government cuts, to go along with that. That said, I think it's fair to say that reporters, including myself, really underestimated McCarthy during the debt ceiling crisis. We had such low expectations, maybe too low, for his ability to pull that off. And he really was able to get a majority of Republicans to sort of buck the far right of his caucus and pass something that prevented this calamity. And so maybe he'll finagle something through. But again, he's taking a lot of heat from the right. so far they've looked like paper tigers. They issued a list of demands. I think most reporters, myself, said you guys weren't able to really effectively move the needle on the debt ceiling. So why should we listen to you now?
Quickly, Jeff, before I let you go, when we were talking about the debt ceiling, we were talking about a catastrophic blow to the economy. Government funding is a little less economically severe, right? And help people understand what might happen on the 30th and how catastrophic or not that would be relative to the last time we were talking about deadlines when it was much more economically dire.
Yeah, last time we were talking about sort of a ripple effect through the global financial system, and Congress successfully averted that deadline. But we had, lots of stories warning people about really devastating impacts to really like dozens of countries. Now we're looking at, parks might shut down, food inspections might be affected, federal employees will be sent home. These are real impacts, but they're not on the level of what we were looking at in the summer. And even though you might have to keep having me on to discuss them, they're not as severe as what we were looking at before.
Well, we'll be lucky if we do have you on again. So, because you explained it so well. Jeff Stein from the Washington Post. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
My pleasure, John. Thanks so much.